But as we begin today, I'd like to call down the director of the Clark Planetarium, Seth Jarvis. We are indebted to the county and to Mr. Jarvis for making the planetarium available to us. We have exactly 1 hour, because those of you who have tickets for the performance will want to come in to see the sky performance. But I will turn the time over to Mr. Jarvis, and he is going to present something that I think will be very educational and very interesting for you. Seth, I'll turn the time to you.
I'd just like to give you a bit of history about recent legislation in terms of daylight savings time. There have been multiple bills proposed over the past 5 years. Representative Ken Sumption proposed a bill in 2010 that would have had Utah abandon daylight saving time. That bill failed to pass. In 2011, Representative Ryan Wilcox proposed the same kind of legislation. That bill failed to pass. In 2012, Representative Jim Nielsen, who is a great proponent of changing the time, sponsored legislation then, and he did see some success, but in the end, the bill was not successful and did not pass through the legislature. In 2013, Senator Steve Urquhart from the St. George area decided to take a new approach. With his legislation, he suggested that if 7 states in the area of the Intermountain West located near Utah were to switch, immediately Utah would switch to whatever time that those 7 states adopted. So if 7 states were to move away from daylight saving time, then Utah would do the same. That bill received great debate and votes, but did not pass, and so we came to 2014. And when I became a legislator, I had a number of people in my community start talking to me about daylight savings time. And the senior citizens at the Tremont and Senior Citizen Center in my area sent me a petition. And many of my friends, my parents' friends, had signed this petition asking that we stop switching time. And they brought to me to my attention their concerns about safety, health, sleep patterns. And then at the same time, I had a group of mothers contact me about their children and testing and the time of switching. So I've given this a lot of thought over the years. Knowing that this was going to be my last session in the legislature, I thought, really, I looked back and studied what had been done and could see that there hadn't been success. And I thought, these people have a right to be heard. How can we generate a discussion about daylight saving time? So working with our analysts at the legislature, we proposed this legislation that we would hold meetings with various constituent groups. We would ask GOED to take the lead on this, and we would get the feedback from the public about their opinions about daylight saving time. So that bill was proposed. It passed easily in the House, out of committee, and then off the House floor. It went to the Senate. It was well received in the Senate as well and passed, and then was signed into law by the governor. So this legislation, I think what my colleagues in the legislature said to me, Representative, this is a way for us to listen to our constituents, for them to have an opportunity to be heard on this important issue. So that was the purpose of House Bill 197 that passed in 2014.
very much, Representative. So at this point, would somebody tell me who has the largest number? Are we have any comment cards above 30? 25? Okay, good. I recognize that. 26? 30. All right. I think in order to give as many people as possible to comment live and give the representatives an opportunity to respond if needed, we'll hold the comments to 1 minute. We'd ask you to give your name and your city, and then we'll start the timing. If you have a longer comment, I want to emphasize that we have 2 video stations directly outside of the planetarium where you can go give a longer comment, and they'll ask you to hold a card in front of you that shows which time you favor. And those video comments are being compiled for the legislative subcommittee that will be hearing this. So we know a minute's very short, but we want to give as much human interaction as possible. So at this point, if we can have the first 3 or 4 people come down to the front. Number 1, we'll let you begin, and we'll just move forward. So your name and your city and your comment, please. Thank you.
My name's Joe Milner, and I'm from West Jordan, and I hold a bachelor's degree in computer science from BYU and an MBA from the University of Utah, and so my whole day and life revolves around the intersection between business and technology in Utah. And I want to make 2 brief comments. One is that when we speak of daylight savings time, we should always talk about not getting more light or losing light, because we have the same amount of light, right? We are talking about moving light to different parts of the day to try and address different problems. The second comment I would make is that complexity is very difficult for business in Utah. The more complexity that we have, whether that's through tax law or through daylight savings time, it makes business more difficult, especially if you start looking at reporting, for example, over year reporting. It gets very difficult to adjust for daylight savings time. And so knowing that businesses in Utah don't open and close based on the sunset and sunrise of time, my favor is strongly that we move to matching Arizona and following daylight standard time.
Thank you very much. Number 2. 3.
My name is Kay Anderson. I'm from Provo, and this has been an issue that's irritated me for years and years and years. Thank you for bringing it to a forum. Several minute isn't very long. My main issue is health. I think it's unfortunate that we undergo jet lag twice a year. I think that affects safety, and the incident in Lehigh of the young man, father, I can't remember of how many, 2 or 3 children, rode his bike to work. 1 week was fine, daylight savings time initiated, and he was killed by an automobile in the dark as he was trying to ride his bike to work. The other one is my preference of skiing. In the spring, switching to daylight saving time turns the snow to ice by morning, and anyway, it affects our tourism. The tourists are not appreciative of skiing on the ice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And next, please make sure you also do your video comments so you can go as long as you want.
Good morning. Let's leave the clocks alone. David Bennett from Park City. I'm a morning trail runner. We run at 6 in the morning because one of our running group is a school teacher. And we run in the dark, we realize that, but as we start to move towards spring and it starts to get light, then all of a sudden the morning is stolen from us again. We view it from being on the trail that early in the morning, but we also see the school buses that are picking up children going to school in the dark. It is very dangerous. The previous speaker spoke about the tragedy that occurred earlier this year. We have incidents happening all the time. There's no reason to change the clocks. Let's leave them as they are. If there needs to be a compromise, daylight savings time truly only in the summer months. This long expanded period of time is not necessary. Let's leave the clocks alone.
You'll be standing close by. Please come and comment so the next person is there so we can maximize use.
Are you 5? Yeah, I'm 5. Go ahead.
Can we call out the numbers so we know where we're at?
Hi, I'm Ed Berenson from Provo. For years, this has bothered me a great deal. I say for health and for other reasons, We need to leave the time alone. There's too many accidents. There's too many health concerns. As we age, we need the sleep. We need to be left alone. I prefer that we align with Arizona and we leave it standard time year-round. I thank Representative Menlove for listening and for doing all she has done. I thank Speaker of the House Becky Lockhart for listening to me whine about this for the last 10 years at least. I thank Senator Deidre Henderson of Spanish Fork for listening. Let's end it. It's foolishness. It's antiquated.
Will you call out your number, the next person, please? Go ahead. Ma'am?
This is 6.
Number 6 is where we're at now.
I'm Jane Haney from Provo. 5 things. I thought the time change could be kind of fun, but when it came to mind 5 years ago, as Senator Menlove mentioned that it started being debated, I started asking people, and I found out that almost without exception, people dislike being yanked and raked across the disruptive adjustment twice a year. One of my friends said, "Oh, it bothers our dog." And I said, "It bothers your dog? A dog doesn't even know what time it is and doesn't know what a clock is, but it bothers their dog." And they said, some of their friends said it bothered their dog. Okay, I'm from Colorado. I noticed over here in Utah, it's so light in the evening, we really don't need it in the summer. When we need time to be where it should be is in the time of the year when we have so little time of daylight in the first place, and that's the winter months. So it is crucial for health and safety reasons to have us be on normal time, which is standard time in the winter, and it would be great to have just regular, normal, standard time all year round.
Thank you. Number 7? 8? 7? If with number 8 will please come and stand beside him.
I'm Brian Anderson from Salt Lake City. I favor the status quo because this issue is really about when is this hour of daylight most valuable. And obviously in the spring and fall seasons, it compresses earlier and later. But I'll talk about right now. As you saw in the dome illustration, we're talking about an hour of daylight between 4:30 and 5:30 a.m. compared to an hour of daylight 8:30 to 9:30 p.m. Which is most valuable to the community? For my health, I am a pre-diabetic, trying to control it with diet and exercise. And the time I have to exercise is after work until dark. I like to hike, I like to bike, I like to swim, I like to run, outdoor activities. I need that daylight hour for my health and to be active with my family. I'm a family man. I like to bond with my kids by doing those things with them. Golfing. You can't get 9 holes in between work and dark without daylight savings time most of the year. A couple personal anecdotes to illustrate my point. This morning, I had my window and blinds open last night because of the cool rain. Got light at 5:30 a.m., and that woke me up, and I couldn't sleep. If we were not on daylight savings time, that would have been 4:30 a.m. I would have been awakened by the lightness of the sun and not been able to sleep in the morning. Another personal anecdote, one of my professions is a photographer, so obviously early morning light, evening light is prime for photographers, good light, as you guys know. So in the last 2 weeks, twice I've wanted to be photographing in the morning light. I set my alarm for 4 a.m. to drive an hour to my photographic spot, and at 5:30, I turned my headlights off because it's light. If it was not daylight savings time, I would have set my alarm for 3 a.m. to be able to drive an hour and get somewhere before daylight ends.
Thank you.
I hate changing my clock too, but it takes me 2 minutes. My car, my computer, my phone all change themselves. 2 minutes, I can change my clocks twice a year. Same time it takes me to brush my teeth once a day or pull out my garbage can once a week.
Thank you very much. 10 and 11, please come down.
Karen Manning Payson. What daylight savings time means to me. Mornings are darker, mornings are colder. Children are walking to the bus stop in the dark. Teenagers already have a hard time getting up in the morning. Adults are driving to work in the dark more than just in winter. Just when spring mornings are starting to get light, they get dark again. Instead of gradually getting darker on autumn evenings, it is a sun thing. Noon should be when the sun is highest in the sky. Summer evenings are warm and light enough already. Summer evenings take longer to cool down. Summer evening activities that require darkness have to be started later. It favors night people over morning people. Farmers dislike it. Bodies take time to adjust. Minds take time to adjust. Daylight is not saved. Power is not saved. All of the clocks need to be changed twice a year. Time and money is spent making the change. It is one way the government is controlling our lives. We did not get to vote on the extension. 6 months was bad enough, but now there's 8 months of it. It is discriminatory for church-going people since it always started Sunday morning. It perpetuates the gradual shift from morning to evening as normal wake time. Let nature take its course of gradually getting lighter in the morning. People can adjust their schedules instead of adjusting their clocks.
Thank you. Will you give your comments to the timer lady so we can have that written comment? Next.
My name is Adam Milner. I'm from West Jordan also. My preference is to remain on standard time year-round, principally for the children going to school in the dark in the mornings. I think it's a safety concern. I think that outweighs any other inconvenience concern. And that's all I have to say. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Bryce Hansen. I live in Cottonwood Heights. And let me tell you a short story here. March 9th, 2014, just a few months ago, it was Sunday evening, and the time had changed miraculously to an extra hour of sleep. Now, I have a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old that didn't want to go to bed at their normal time because there's light still outside. My 1-year-old baby girl, cute as can be, she went to bed at her normal time. By the end of that week, their rhythms, their biological clocks just don't change just like that. Neither do mine, and I'm sure most of yours don't either. By the end of the week, I was sick. I missed a couple days of work. And the following week, I missed a few days of work, in total 5 days of work. And where I work, I don't get PTO. I don't get sick leave. So if I don't work, I don't get paid, right? And so this happens more than once, not just this year. And so economically, to my pocketbook, daylight savings time is a detriment. And I just, from that reason, I encourage that, from that angle, that all of you, that the state legislatures, join this growing movement to opt out of daylight savings time and stay at standard time year-round for the health of the families of the state. Thanks.
12, 13, and 14, would you come? Next, go ahead, sir. What's your number?
13.
13. So let's get 14, 15, 16.
It for the benefits, because that's what happens. Another cost that most of you don't think about, but if you're in uniform or you're a policeman like I used to be, you understand that the midnight shift once a year works 7 hours but gets paid for 8. That's taxpayer money. And the other half of the year they work 9 hours and get paid overtime for the extra hour. And that applies not just for policemen and fire, but for factory workers and everybody else that has to work a midnight shift. That's costing everybody. So it's not savings, it's a cost. It's daylight cost if we go with that program. Some argue that it's better for tourism. Perhaps they can explain to me why Hawaii doesn't use daylight savings time if it's so great for tourism. I lived in Arizona for several years. I know how great it is to do that, and I also traveled a lot. I worked for the federal government. I know that you can get past all of the hour change. If you're not too dumb, you just change your watch.
Thank you very much. Number 14.
Sterling Brown with Utah Farm Bureau, representing farmers and ranchers of the state. There's there's a growing, most recent census resulted in that there was just over 16,000 farmers and ranchers in Utah. And as an organization that represents many of them, we're finding that there is split opinion on many of them. To those farmers that are bona fide, full-time farmers and ranchers making their sole income from the land, whether it's 5:30 in the morning or 6:30 in the morning, the cows are still going to get milked that morning. And so we're hearing time and time again, doesn't matter. Standards, daylight, doesn't matter. But to those farmers in our communities that work in town from 8 to 5 and are in a rush to get home from their city job so that they can maintain a viable, sustainable farm from late afternoon into the evening hours, this does make a difference. And that daylight time clock plays a role into this, as it gives them an additional hour to get their farm chores completed. That's one factor. Number two, briefly, is there are many natural conditions that dictate a profitable farm or ranch, and one is the dew, the natural dew that comes onto the crop, which plays into harvesting, among other things. And when that dew comes on, dictates when they can get on and off the fields. And of course, dew comes during the nighttime hours, and so if they can give more hours during the daylight to attend to their farm and ranch duties, that's part of profitability and sustainability in farm life. So as an organization, we haven't taken an official position yet, as we're in this journey of policy development, but those are a couple examples of what are farmers thinking in today's world.
Thank you. Would you be sure to go to the video booth to give a full and complete description so you can take as much time as you need? Number 15, please.
Anybody better than 17?
Go. Oh, this gentleman down below you.
My name is Clay Michaelis, spelled Michaelis. I don't have a dog, and I neglected to interview my cats before I came here to see how it would affect them. I'm in favor of a possibility that is not on your sheet. Number 4, daylight saving time, June, July, and August only. Thank you.
And my name's Olive Michaelis, and I live in Holiday. And my glasses are caught on this. Okay. I had the privilege of living in Cleveland, Ohio, a number of years ago and working there for Standard Oil of Ohio. And they were on Eastern Standard Time year-round, while Columbus was on Eastern Daylight Time during the summer. It was marvelous. It was the only time in my life that I lived where we didn't have to change times in the middle of the month. It was wonderful. And making the adjustments business-wise was no different than when you're flying, you have to make adjustments. And Standard Oil had to make adjustments within the state because the state was split down the middle on whether they were Eastern Standard or Eastern Daylight. So I'm definitely in favor of being on Mountain Standard Time year-round and not making a change. And the other thing is to the farmers, the cows don't know the difference. My dad had to get up at 5:30 in the morning in the winter to milk the cows because the cows expected to be milked at the same time every morning. And in the summertime, he could get up at 6:30 in the morning. And so definitely, we should just stay on standard time. The people that need to get up earlier to go to work on the farms can still get up earlier to go to work on the farms without disrupting the rest of the world.
Thank you. Next, 17.
My name's Todd Call from Roy. It's an annoyance to change the clocks back and forth. It leaves everybody tired for a week. And just a quick research on Wikipedia, of course, the source of all lies. in the mid 80s, and then in 2005, apparently they referred to a couple of business organizations that were supporting it. They'll buy more. One said they would buy more potato chips. 7-Eleven was behind that push. I find it hard to believe that an obese nation like America will buy less potato chips because of what time of day it is. That's the end of what I got.
Hi, I'm Mark Bryant from Fruit Heights, beautiful downtown Fruit Heights. I'm a lighting design consultant, registered lighting LC certified individual for B&A Consulting Engineers. I've studied light and the effect on the human eye for about 25 years. We lose about $435 million in business due to sleep-related issues every year. We have 6 to 17% more accidents in the springtime when we shift our clocks, and 17% rise in death-related fatal accidents every year, and a 5% increase in heart attacks. If we go back and don't do anything, we leave it the same. No, I'm not a proponent for standard or daylight time, just leave it alone. We'd have a decrease in death, an increase in work productivity, an increase, believe it or not, of 2% of SAT scores in students, and a decrease in heart attacks. Every year I hear some legislator say, if we just implement this legislation and we save one life, it's worth it. Hey, if we do nothing, we will save lives. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. I see you have material with you. If you could provide those sources to one of the staff at the photo booth, that would be great. Or do your comment there as well again.
My name is Geraldine Bishop, and I'm from Salt Lake City. I've been against daylight savings time for years, and the health and safety issues, the children going to school in the mornings, on dark mornings, has always bothered me. Anyway, I'm just going back to standard time.
What number were you, ma'am? 20, 21, 22, if you could come be prepared.
Good morning. I'm Dick Andrew from Lagoon, Farmington, Utah. The Economic Development Division of the state said they have no position on this. I suspect they ought to get one. Speaking on behalf of the entertainment industry and the tourism industry, which of course is massive in the state of Utah, doing away with daylight savings time would be a major blow to this entire industry. We cherish that extra hour of daylight in the summer. It is very important to us. It saves lots and lots of money, much less power used. Families are able to have that time to be together. Strongly support daylight savings time during the summer months.
Thank you. If you have an official position from Lagoon, if you're a representative, we'd love you to submit that as well. 22, 23. Please go ahead. Just give us your number so we know where we're at.
21, Jason Packard from Spanish Fork, Utah. I have young kids as well, and I do understand the time change and the annoyance it is for your children. I do believe you're going to get sick no matter what. That's just what it is when you have children. I do work at a financial institution. It is quite annoying to have to try to figure out when you're contacting Arizona what time zone they're on. My position is either keep the time change as we are right now, or keep daylight savings. And I'm an avid cyclist. I couldn't believe if, as we were seeing in the Dome, that at 4 a.m. you'd have the sun up in the morning. When it comes to heat in the summer, I believe that it would be, I just couldn't believe it would be that the kind of heat would be in the morning at 4 a.m. But after work, I believe as an economy, as for leisure activities with families, it's be very nice to have that extra hour. I look forward to it every year. Thank you.
'23 and '24, please come up.
Hi, I'm Jerry Allen from Holiday, Utah. I'm number 22. I have listened to all of these comments, and really good comments, but by way of standardizing, my vote has always been for years, just stick to one time. Don't be changing. Whatever we pick and we stay. Help our bodies and our children and our lifestyles just have one standard time. Thanks.
23, 24, 25.
My name is John White. I'm from Woods Cross, Utah. My position is coming from a 9-to-5 working dad. I choose that we stay with the current daylight savings time. We actually literally look forward. I have 3 little kids. We look forward to daylight savings time every year during that time change because we get an extra hour of light at night. We're a very active family, and so we spend almost all of our nights outside playing. A lot of the comments here were spoken of health, but you know, we as a society shut ourselves inside, and the medical community would reiterate that being active, being outside and playing is much more healthy than shutting yourself inside. This extra hour of light that we get during these summer months gives us that as an opportunity as a family, and taking that away from men like me that have to work all day long. We don't get the option of adjusting our work schedule. That takes that time away from us. So my position is to keep daylight savings time as is, or move to create. I'm good with either.
Thank you. Number 25, I believe you're next. Yes, ma'am. 26, 27. Do we have anyone more than 27? Okay, we're up to 30. Good. Please go
I'm
ahead.
Barbara Kramer, Salt Lake City. I have a question for the planetarium people. When you were showing the sunrise, does that take into account the mountains?
No, that's flat horizon.
Okay, so we're already, when you talk about the difference between Colorado and Utah, Denver people get the daylight a lot earlier than we do. We are already losing morning light just because of that big row of mountains. When I look at the summertime, I like to watch how the temperatures rise and fall, and the coolest time every day is between like 4 a.m. and 6 a.m. Sometimes I wake up in the morning just because I do at 4, and I'll open my windows and I let the cool air come in. That's the time in the summer to have some light and be out in the coolness. I agree with all the other statements that have been made about health and the difficulties, and I vote to align with Arizona, but I think we should remember that we already lose that morning light because of our big mountains. Thank you.
That was 25. So 26, 27, 28.
27.
Come ahead.
Good morning. My name's Doug Bayless from Spanish Fork, Utah. My strongest feeling is that we stop changing the clocks twice a year. Personally, I would prefer to align with Arizona for school children going to school in the morning. And my young children, when it doesn't get dark until 10, there's different kind of activities you can do at night when it cools off and gets dark. You can do summer theater, and sometimes we've had our community want to show a movie at night, and boy, you have to start late. I think aligning with Arizona would be marvelous. My thoughts.
Thank you. That was 27, 28, 29, and 30. Anyone more than 30, and then we'll wrap up with conversation. Ma'am? Okay. Please come on down around in front of the railing. That'll make the mic a little bit better.
Dave Anderson from Pleasant Grove. I'm like several of these people. I have several young kids, and I get up for work at 6. I look forward greatly to daylight savings time for this very same reason. I'm very active. If I were to get home, and I'm like a lot of people, given the traffic at 6 o'clock, I don't get home till later. For me to have any time with my kids, I enjoy that daylight savings time. If we were to remove that hour, it would be 1 hour less. It wouldn't matter if we sat home and watched TV at night. I wouldn't care what time. But the fact that we're out doing stuff, I'm working all the time, the daylight savings time is very important to me. So why I say we stay on it or go daylight savings year round. So appreciate it.
My name is Daryl Rollins from Orem, Utah. I'm also in favor of staying on standard or on daylight savings time because of a lot of the same reasons that was just addressed. One quick story: in high school, with so many activities that a person going to school is involved in, oftentimes you're going from dark to dark anyway, and having that extra light in the morning doesn't make a difference. Another example in the wintertime about the extra light in the evening time of being on standard time would be to help with some health concerns. A lot of people have addressed health concerns. If any of us have ever been familiar with seasonal depression, that's caused by a vitamin D deficiency. Vitamin D is an essential vitamin that comes from sunlight. Having an extra hour in the evening time allows, and I'll use my wife as an example, but she was having some depressional issues over the wintertime because all she was doing is driving to work in the dark and driving home in the dark. Last comment is safety is going to be an issue no matter what. It's going to be dark in the wintertime when kids are going to school, regardless if we stay on standard or if we move to daylight. It's always going to be an issue, and we always have to be prepared for it. Moving an hour back is not going to change the safety risk. And I'm a big fan of having that extra hour of light in the evening time because of recreational activities we have in the state. It's a great state. We've got 5 national parks, as it says on our sign. Let's use them because it's evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Would everyone else who has a comment card please come down? I think we have about 3 or 4 left. We need to be respectful of the planetarium's use of their facility.
My name is Lori Miles from Orem. I am not a fan of daylight saving time. I don't think it saves anything, and I would prefer to stick with standard. People say having light in the evening is great. I find it extremely hot. We're stuck inside until the sun really disappears. Then we can go out, and so we have to wait till later to do that. And meanwhile, everybody's supposed to have gone to bed. I also think that we are a clock-driven society. We don't do as many things by the sun as we used to. And so what the clocks say is what we have to go by. And we just mess it up by changing the clocks. You change your schedule according to what somebody tells you the clock says. And the sun does its own thing. It will always do its own thing. I prefer that it gradually change. We can gradually get used to having more hours available and use them when they're available. Thank you.
I believe the lady in white is going to be the last commentor.
I'm up for compromise. I need to support daylight or the standard. I wish we could meet in half the road. So just change it half an hour and leave it there forever. But if that's not possible, I would stick with either one of them.
Thank you. I guess we'll have the gentleman in the black shirt be the last. Ma'am, go ahead. Ma'am, you go now, and then we'll finish with him.
I'm a morning person, and I like standard time. I like to get up in the morning and do things at home before I have to be at the job. And in the summer, the cool time is in the morning that I can be outside and get things done. And but in the end, it would be better to have one thing that we didn't have to change back and forth to. That is the worst, is having the change. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. And sir, we'll let you wrap up. Then we'll have Representative Menlove make a final comment.
Dan Medina, Sandy City. I'm in favor of daylight savings time. I think of the impact of switching off of daylight savings time would have on leisure recreation sports. Kids that play, lacrosse, soccer, baseball, all that won't have that time. Parents will have to get off an hour work earlier. Not all parks are lit, so you can't run them until 10 o'clock. Also, the impact on the golfing industry. By cutting that hour short, you can't mow an hour earlier because you can't mow in Salt Lake County before 7 o'clock because of noise ordinances. So you lose that hour of play time if we were to switch back to just a regular time without daylight savings.
Thank you very much. Now, sir, we had a person who raised his hand. Did you need to make an initial comment? We're okay. Let me summarize as we complete. We thank Planetarium and the county, Salt Lake County, for making the building available to us. Please remember to encourage people to go to business.utah.gov where you can leave your comments and cast your vote. We have had a few people who have asked us to summarize briefly what the current voting trend is. I think we can do that in about 1 minute. It's very interesting that the comments today seem to mimic some of what we're seeing online. We have a very wide audience. By demographics, we have from 18 to over 63, a wide variety. What's very interesting is the way that the count is currently breaking out is if you're young or have young children or you're a senior citizen, you're in favor of an hour in the morning. If you are employed or an industry or working in an industry, you seem to favor an additional hour of daylight in the afternoon or in the evening. With one exception, one industry only, technology, who works on a 24-hour clock, they seem to just want it to be left alone. So please go online and do that. Yeah, we'll continue to do news stories. We have all the media here, which we appreciate. We really want to thank our friends in the media. We reach out as much as we can. There will be a Cedar City meeting in which political leaders will be coming. Representative Menlove will be meeting with them, and they'll be voting down there. And we will have the website open until about the 15th of August, depending on when we have to compile the report, no later than August 30th. So I apologize, but those 2 public meetings, but then the website will continue to be open. So tell your friends, have them vote in that case. Let me give the time back to Representative Menlove, and then we'll conclude.
I just want to thank you again for being here. Almost 20,000 people have been on the website, submitted surveys. Of those people, about 70,000 are saying, let's not change. So, or 70% are saying, let's not change. So you can see there are varying ways to look at the data. So I would encourage you to click on the data link there. You can see how the responses are flowing. But thanks again to everyone for making this possible. This has been a great response, and we really appreciate the people who took the time to be here, all of the setup, GoEd, UEN, and the Planetarium. Representative Perry, I'd like to give him a moment to make a comment.
For those out there, just so you know, there's 3 things the legislature can do here. One, we could do absolutely nothing, just ignore this, and this would be futile. The other we can do is the legislature could take the information that's been presented and propose some type of legislation. As legislatures, we can vote on it, and it becomes law, and that's what happens if the House passes, the Senate passes, the governor signs it, it moves forward. The third option is, and this may be a possibility we may go through in this next session, would be propose a ballot initiative and give the voters, the people of Utah, the chance to have one more chance to voice their opinion as to how they want to go forward with that. That's what I think you're going to see moving forward. But the thing I want to press most important is reach out to your legislators, your representatives and your senators, and let them know how you feel. We'll also be watching this information from GoEd, but you personally can reach out and let them know what your personal opinion is. Just this morning, I've had about 40 comments from constituents just to my email site myself. So,
and thank you all. We hope you have a good day. Please enjoy the planetarium and encourage your friends to go to business.utah.gov/time.